Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
Your team does not have a knowledge problem. It has an execution problem. That is the hard truth at the heart of the magic of 13 weeks. As Peter Della Torre puts it, your team doesn't have a knowledge problem. It has an execution problem. This is not about what you know. It is about what you do. Across industries, companies are investing hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions, into artificial intelligence. But there is a catch. Too often, these powerful tools are handed to people who were never strong implementers to begin with. Peter Della Torre, creator of the Magic of 13 Weeks, explains that this is not just a technology issue, it is an execution issue. The result? AI abdication. The tools are there, but the results are not. The stakes could not be higher. AI in the wrong hands just accelerates failure faster. When artificial intelligence is misapplied, it does not fix underlying problems. Instead, it magnifies them. Imagine data streams accelerating, but in the wrong direction. The risk is not just wasted investment. It is the rapid acceleration of failure. Here is the pivot. AI is a mirror. It reflects your business exactly as it is, not as you imagine it to be. Artificial intelligence does not create success out of thin air. It reveals the truth about your organization. If your execution is weak, AI will only make that more obvious, more quickly. Consider the 12-month mirage, the convenience of busy, and the difference between ownership and excuses. Neither our parents nor our bosses have the power to hold us accountable. It's really about ownership. He does not run a training program. He installs an operating system. 4 13-week sprints. 1 disciplined year. That is the difference between talking about change and actually making it happen. The fire to execute is not a slide on a wall. It is a personal vision so real, you can feel it. Peter found his as a boy, collecting empty bottles for the deposit until the bicycle was his. Personal vision and ruthless honesty are at the core of real execution. Take the E out of brave and it doesn't spell anything. The E stands for execution. You don't win because of your strategy. You win because you execute your strategy. Execution is what makes everything else matter. This is The Magic of 13 Weeks with Peter Della Torre. Listen to the full conversation on Follow the Brand, The Magic of 13 Weeks, Let's Build.
Welcome, everybody, to the Follow Brand Podcast. This is Grant McGaw, and I want to bring to you to the stage someone I know, but I had no idea that he had 40 years of executive experience and over 2,500 interviews as a podcaster. And one brutal truth he had to learn, this is what he told me, he had to learn this the hard way, is that your team doesn't have a knowledge problem, it has an execution problem. So today on the Follow Brand, we're going to sit down with Pete. You know, if people have seen him on my show before, Pete is the magic behind the magic of 13 weeks. We're going to talk about why busy isn't the same as productive, why busy isn't the same as productive, and why AI in the wrong hands just accelerates failure faster. Let that sink in. And why he had to nearly lose everything before he became the authority he is today. So let's get right into it. Pete, welcome back to the Follow Brand Show.
Thank you for bringing me back to your fantastic podcast platform. We've had a lot of fun in the past. I know we're going to have some great times today, and congratulations on the continual growth of this platform and the fact that you're now dead center in the United States.
I am. I'm literally dead center in the United States of Midwest. Operate out of Omaha, Nebraska. I still operate out of Miami and also St. Croix, Virgin Islands. Depends on the time of year and what's happening. But right now, we're standing up. Matter of fact, our Omaha AI Business Accelerator. So as we do that, I'm spending more time here, and then we're going to get that rolling. Really, really
Good for you, man. Good for you, buddy. You deserve it.
Big impacts. Yeah. But you're making some big impacts right now. And so we want to get into that because I always like to start at the brand level because every framework comes from a moment. And you weren't always what I would call the execution architect. There was a version of you that was a generalist, capable, very experienced, but trying to be everything to everyone. So something forced a shift. Take us through that whole story.
Well, it's an interesting part of my journey. And we had a conversation a few months ago about a big shift that I had made to finally follow my dream, my passion for speaking and teaching. And I did that about a year ago. Came out with a brand new look and feel, new website, the whole 9 yards. I started getting out there talking. But late last year, maybe November or so, as I continue to do my research on the market and the things that I was doing and planning to do, and being part of some of the webinars that are out there, I discovered something that hit me between the eyes. And today, there's too much going on. There's too many distractions. And so it is imperative that if we have a passion for something and that we know something very well, then we need to take that something and brand ourselves and move forward as an authority on that something. And so for me, it was something I was doing for a long time, but it was kind of spread out, a little bit too scattered. And I brought it all together and decided to focus on something that I've had a passion for probably over 20 something years, which is execution, implementation. It's like you just said at the very beginning right now. We know a lot of things and we have a lot of great strategies, but a lot of those things never go beyond the idea and are not implemented. And through the years, I've been discovering that there is a common denominator that not just corporate America, but all businesses, small, medium, large, have. The common denominator is execution. It's not about the strategy. It's about executing that strategy. The challenge has been there are blind spots, things that hold back individuals from actually executing what they already know. So I decided to take all of that and brand a program that I've been doing for years called the Magic of 13 Weeks, which is
Okay.
focusing on 4 13-week sprints per calendar year. Imagine accomplishing 4 years worth of work and production in one calendar year.
Hmm.
Think about what that could mean for that business and for that individual. Okay. And discarding 80% of the stuff that is not that important and focusing on the hand, on just that short list of things that are really important to move forward and make things happen.
I tell you, this you just hit the you say the nail on the head as far as execution. I've been doing the Brave framework. That is my methodology that I've come up because I often think you've got to be courageous, you got to be brave in order to achieve the goal that you set out to do. But if you don't have everything in place, like you take the E out of brave, it does not spell anything, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So you get to a point of I got an idea, I'm trying to make it visible, but then the execution, to your point, you fumble and stumble because I don't think everybody has all the different parameters that are necessary, the resources that are necessary to truly execute the know-how. You're saying that this is a wake-up call for a lot of people. And I love how you also said about going into your bag and understanding your domain expertise. I think in the AI age, this is a key differentiator because lived experience cannot be simulated. You've got to have authority in that world. You've got to understand. You've got to have the wisdom and the experience, be able to bring somebody through a particular experience. So you're architecting, you understand the problem, which is they people are not executing. You've got a framework around that. You've broken this into 13 tenets. And I think the first are around diagnosing what's broken. Take us through what you call these execution gaps.
Well, first of all, that execution gap is that, you've heard the saying, I know what I know what I don't know. But the third one is, I don't know what I don't know.
That's it.
And that's what we're talking about here. There is something there that is holding people back from executing, being the best they can at whatever it is they're doing. And it's a mystery. And it's a gap between knowing and actually executing. It's that middle right there that we're talking about there. And the idea is to bring that together. So what causes that gap? What I call the great blind spot. In no particular order. Okay, we'll start with what I call the AI abdication,
Mm.
where companies are investing hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to incorporate AI into their businesses, right? And they're doing it everywhere. Doesn't matter what size of the business it is here, but they're doing that. The problem is that they're bringing in all this technology and it still needs that human-centric implementation to make it happen. So if you give all these great technologies to individuals that have poor habits, that are not implementers, as you say, you're just going to accelerate, as you mentioned a little while ago, their bad habits. It's only going to get worse. So that's one of the things that is causing this gap here. The other thing is the what I call the 12-month mirage, where people, especially at the beginning of the year, they have 12 months. It's a new year. They're going to accomplish everything that year. They've listed all their goals on January 1st, and by the 20th or the third week of January, they're going right back to where they were before because they believe they have all the time in the world. They don't see the deadline after 12 months. So this illusion that we have, I call annualized lethargy. Okay,
Yeah.
because you're going for 10 months and you're not doing a whole lot, and then finally the last 2 months out of the year, you start to scramble. You're in desperate mode. You're DEFCON 5, and you just, you're going crazy. So, you know, a lot of things don't happen until that time of the year. And they're happening in a different type of state of mind. So that's a problem. The other one is the convenience of busy. Is that we
Mhm.
believe we're really busy we're being productive, and all we're doing is wasting a lot of our time to things that are not going to move that needle forward. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means here. So, you know, again, at the end of the day, companies do not have a strategy problem. They have an execution problem. And there is this gap and these things that are holding individuals back and companies back from actually executing and moving forward. So we've
If you
talked,
don't
yeah,
mind, 'cause that's a lot to take in for people.
yep,
And understanding what you just said there, because this is how I look, especially at AI, especially AI, this type of technology. And I've been in technology 35 years, so I think I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. What it is in the hands of the end user is that AI becomes a mirror, and it's a mirror of your business, to your point. So, and you might see your business one way, you perceive it a certain way, but in reality, you know what's in the mirror is in the mirror. You might not have realized what's all in
mhm,
there, right? So when you go to execute and you're executing on a bad perception, it's not the real identity. It's not exactly what you think it is, but it's really something else. A lot of people
mhm.
go out and start blaming the tech, and not really, it's not the tech, it's the individual that you're talking about. So help us, because that's brand identity. I call that the identity crisis that I think a lot of people have. And AI will expose it. It really, really will. So you can't really hide that. So you call it the great blind spot, right? That's a huge blind spot, especially when you start making this type of thing visible, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, it all starts with blind spots, and there's different things that are holding us back. Um, Now, what's important to realize here is the fact that most people, most companies are in the competing business. What do
Mhm.
I mean by that? Uh, Whether it's creating strategies to try to outcompete your competitors, or introducing new technology, or changing up your product offering, uh, lowering your prices, God forbid. Imagine being in an ocean that's red and it's full of sharks,
Mhm.
okay? And you're swimming in there and you're trying to survive, and it just doesn't get any better. And you're trying to recreate everything, and you're going nuts, and you're not really growing as a company. One of the things that I ask everyone to consider is to get out of that ocean, that red ocean, and shift over and get into a blue ocean.
I
A
like
blue ocean where you are now creating as opposed to competing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That is another blind spot, is allowing your company and your people to continue to be in that world of trying to compete and outcompete your competitors. One of the courageous things that we all need to consider is adopting this blue ocean strategy of really digging in and saying, how can we create something new with what we know, right? How can we find the non-customers of what is typically there?
Hmm.
So there's a process that you've got to follow. You got to eliminate, you got to reduce. There's a few things you got to do there. But that allows you to start looking at things in a whole different way. So this entire methodology of the magic of 13 weeks starts with identifying the problem that is
Right.
holding back execution. And then once you've identified it, saying, okay, what am I going to have to shift? And it's typically the mindset. What am I going to have to start doing different here?
Hmm.
Looking at in a different way to start moving forward. Um, and along with that mind shift, that change, right, of looking at new things, new possibilities, is identifying the one thing that will truly drive someone to do something, and that is personal vision. You
Personal
have
vision.
your company's vision, you may have a family's vision, but every individual needs to have an emotional stake in what they are doing and identify what that is. Because once you identify that, then you have that passion. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
When we were small kids, and whatever that age, 8, 9, 10 years old, and we wanted a bicycle. We wanted a bicycle really, really bad, but your parents couldn't really afford to get that bicycle. we got creative. We started doing things. I know back in the day when I was a lot smaller, I would look for empty bottles of Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola
Yeah.
and take them back to the grocery stores and get 10 cents, 5 cents, and accumulate enough money at that point to be able to buy my bank. I did what I had to do. When you have that personal vision, something you really want bad in your life, you're going to do whatever is necessary to get to where you want to get to. And you're going to put aside all the things that are just not going to help you get there or are going to hold you back. So that's why that personal vision is so important.
Can I
So,
can I hold up for 1 second there?
yep.
Because I'm on my bike, right? I like that. I got the bike. So how did I achieve getting that bike? And I go back that personal accountability is so important
Mhm.
to understand your role in getting to this new space, that mindset shift. I want to take our audience through this mindset shift. AI is just a part of this. It's a vehicle to get you to a different space. You talked about the red ocean. For whatever reason, I got this whole vision of being in Jaws, right? Jaws, you got a lot of red ocean because something is churning and burning, and that is where a lot of that competition is taking place. And there's a lot of churn and burn there. But it takes some gumptions. You know what? We're gonna go out to the blue water. No one knows that it's an unknown. That blue water is unknown to a certain degree, but you do know yourself, you do know your capabilities. Is that what you're talking about when you're talking about, like, hey, you've got to understand where you are at, what you do well, and that it's different from your competition. It's in that red ocean, and you now have created a whole new blue ocean, but you got to bring your audience to that so they see you differently. You're saying we got to all take personal stake in that. And now I know you did something around, you had a wake up call. You had a cancer wake up call, right? You call it the wellness trifecta, things of that nature that got you into a new world. And that's kind of what, I talk about a lot because that human behind the framework is very important. Walk us through how you went from that red ocean to the blue ocean. How you feel you can take other people through that, through your rules of execution and whatnot.
Well, it goes back to exactly 12 months ago.
Okay.
I jumped in I want to be a speaker and I've been speaking in all different forms and shapes and sizes and I've been teaching for a long, long time. So that wasn't totally foreign to me, but it's how to package that, like you said about branding and bring it together. Because a lot of people knew me in different ways, but they didn't know me as a speaker and as someone that does corporate training.
Hmm.
That's step one. So I made that jump. But then, like I told you a little while ago, I found out very quickly that and looking at my stuff and looking at my website and talking to people, it's like I didn't have a definitive area or path because then everybody was doing everything there. So
Yeah,
I realized along the way that I had to if I'm going to be successful, really successful, then I've got to hone in on what I do best and love to do. And not only that, but how am I going to do it? And how am I going to bring it to the market and actually implement it, right?
exactly.
So I
Yeah.
learned very quickly in that process. And there's two words that I truly uncovered 5 years ago when I went through my cancer battle. And it was the basis of my book, Connect with Ruthless Honesty.
Hmm.
I guess the inspiration to all of this that I'm doing and what you and I are talking about today is ruthless honesty, being
Hmm.
honest with myself, and then transmitting that honesty in my work and everything. And I got to the point where I need to focus on something that is going to be a clear-cut difference and where people will know me for that. I am the authority on that particular thing. And everyone that is watching right now and listening, I am convinced that you have something that you have a passion for and that you have a knowledge of and that you've been doing whether you realize it or not, okay, is to bring that out to the open, okay,
Hmm.
and look at that and say, you know something, this is where I can make a difference here. Not because it's a great idea that someone brought to you, but because you took that deep dive in yourself. is
Mm-hmm.
that this is what I know. This is what I love doing. This is where it can be of greatest value and focus. And so that my wake-up call my real one goes back 5 years, but it's been a process, you know, and last year was another example of that. And that's why we're talking about this topic today.
Well, I tell you that, first of all, thank you for sharing, because you got to have ruthless honesty is very, very important. You got to be authentic in what it is, but you can't know that until you really see it. And you got a chance to see it. You went through a big undertaking, and then you kind of looked at this like, yeah, I can go into the speaking world. Yeah, I can probably make some difference. I can actually get on stage and I can act. But you said, am I bringing forth my expertise in this area? And then instead of competing with, and then red ocean, as you call it, the red waters, you said, here's some blue water out here that I'm actually a very good captain on. And you know this is a major problem. We all know, right? If you don't know, 50% of most small businesses fail. 50% of most small businesses fail within the first 5 years.
Mhm.
What gets them over the hump? What are they executing on? And understanding this, the marketplace is constantly changing. It's always in, but now it's even faster. In my world, we used to say technology changes every 18 months. Now it's changing almost every 18 days because of the proliferation of AI tools and platforms. You're like, wow, I know it's confusing a lot of people right now. Like, what should I be doing? Because of how do I put all my eggs in this one basket when it's changing so rapidly? But you're going back to some core principles of, first of all, know who you are, know yourself, and know what you're good at, and then execute on those two things. Am I in the right world here?
No, no, absolutely. And because you are cheating the marketplace by not pursuing what I believe God gave you the gift to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that purpose that's unique to each and every one of us. So yeah, you're cheating yourself and your family, but you're cheating the marketplace because we all have a mission, we all have a purpose, and we have to fulfill that with what we've learned uh, and the gifts that we've been given at birth, and that's important there. So um, when we opened this up, we started to talk about everything is a magic of 13. So there are 13
Yeah.
aspects to all of this here, and we hit
Yeah.
up on, of course, the execution gap and what causes that. If there's a blind spot as to what's happening. We talked about annual lethargy, which that's the disease that's out there affecting everybody. We've talked about AI, obviously, the technology that everybody's jumping in right now and spending a lot of money in. We've talked about the red ocean.
Yeah.
We talked about personal vision. We've
Mm-hmm.
talked about the convenience of busy, all these things that are going on, some not so good, some new ideas, right? Really good.
Yeah.
Um, the convenience of busy
Let's talk
that
about that.
we've hit on.
Unpack that one a little bit.
Yeah. Everyone has their duties, whether you're an employee or you run a business. There are things that you've got to do daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, um, to make sure that the business continues to move forward and that you are contributing as an employee to that company's growth. You have a job description. These are the things you have to do there. A lot of that includes things that are important, but they're not critical.
Mm.
Emails, company meetings, um, you know, marketing, that's all important there. What this whole methodology is about, to make sure that what you execute means something, is to focus. Rule of thumb, the numbers can vary,
Yeah.
but is to focus 75% of your time to revenue producing activities. The
Uh,
activities that are going to actually um, promote productivity and increase the top line and hopefully continue to grow the bottom line in any business. So there's busy work, that's important, but what's really critical are those revenue producing activities. In other words, to be ruthlessly honest, not to do things just to say, I'm busy and I'm working hard here. That's just comfort zone type thing. We need to do the things that are hard, that maybe that pull us out of that place that we like to be in.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here.
I want the audience, you really got to get into this. This is going to separate you from your competition. What he just said, and been in the sales game, and I've been in sales a long time, selling technology for the same 30 years. Revenue producing activity. I mean, you cannot waste time wasting time. You got to be in front of what's important to get things done, and you have to be able to solve someone else's business problem. That's how they're going to you get traction that way. Not that you're solving your own problem. I used to walk around, I had a number I had to get to. People don't care about that. What they did care about is like, did I have something in my little bag of tricks that could actually help them to produce the result that they were looking for? And a lot of times that was revenue production activity. This is very, very important to understand because if you're spending a lot of time on things that don't matter, meaning, understand this, the language of business is finance. You have to look at what you're doing and how it affects the finances running through your business system, up or down. Where is that? That's going to be a nice gauge for you. Is that bringing money in or is it taking money out? Understanding that is very important. Now you can critically start to understand the amount of time that you're spending on these things. What can you outsource possibly to an AI to make that automation? Because it's not revenue producing activity. Let's get that out. Let's automate that in the back end, but let's bring in these revenue producing activities that are really human driven. And that is a very aggressive standard. Now you bring up, which I think to me is the big page in the book, or I would call it even the big elephant in the room: accountability versus ownership. Oh, I'm going to own that, but are you accountable? Talk to us about being held accountable.
You and I have spoken about this in the past, but along the lines of this whole methodology, when we were growing up as young kids, and we were going to school, our parents would tell us, listen, you better get good grades or else there'll be consequences, right? Or your boss says, hey, these are the orders. This is what we got to get done. And this is what I want you to do and I expect you to do. But if you don't do this at the level that we expect, there may be some consequences. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Let me start by saying that neither our parents or our bosses have the power to hold us accountable. They can try all they want, but that doesn't exist. It's really about ownership. It's about us taking ownership of our lives, taking ownership of the task that's in front of us, okay? Understanding that they're important. And the old saying, if it's going to be, it's up to me, right? And not waiting for someone else to hold you accountable, right? And being responsible, taking ownership. When things go great, man, you can pat yourself on the back and say, I did a great job. When it didn't go so good, where did I fall short? Okay. It's getting away from this blaming. We heard back in the day of COVID, right? Seems like it was forever ago, but there was a coronavirus. Then out of that, you had offspring, you had the economic virus, you had the political virus. Well, the one virus that came out of it that I think is the worst of all is what I call the blaming virus. Blaming someone else, your boss, your coworkers, for you not doing what you had to do. So that's victimhood. We're talking about being a victor, about taking ownership. And that's a big part of execution, is taking ownership of your execution and not waiting for them to say, okay, we got to do this now. We got to execute here. You know what you have to do. You have a personal vision of something you want to accomplish. You're going to do it. Yeah. And you're going to focus on it. And there's a cousin to this. It's called interest versus commitment.
Okay.
Interest is, hey, I'm interested in that, or someone you're talking to, I'm interested in what you have to tell me there. Yeah, I'll get back to you. And you know where that goes most of the time, all right?
Right.
When someone makes a commitment, that's a whole different environment. Man, I'm going to do that. I'm committed to do that. Last time you and I spoke a few months ago, early 2025, I sat down and looked at my year and I said, there are 2 to 3 things that I want to accomplish. So I actually wrote out, I have decided to do this. So it's that personal commitment you make to yourself. And if you're ruthlessly honest with yourself, you can't BS yourself. And if you make that commitment, starting with yourself, you're going to do it. That is also a big part of motivating you to execute to get to where you want to get to.
Right.
So accountability, ownership, interest, commitment, they go hand in hand. They're in the same family. And it separates. Left side, you got accountability, interest. On the right side, you have ownership and commitment. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
I like that, because how bad do you really want to achieve this goal? Is it an interior motivation or is it an exterior motivation? I just watched a couple championships. One was the NBA basketball championship. I just watched the hockey championship. Most of the time, and I would tell people, no matter what sport it is, most of the time when you pair them up and you look at them, the teams, and they take the field, there's not a lot of variable difference in talent and size and the plays they can run. The thing that is the intangible is the will. Can you will yourself in the fourth quarter down by 10 or whatever it may be? Can you summon that extra part of yourself? And that has to be the desire, the commitment. Like I said, I'm willing to go through this pain and anguish to get to that desired state. And most champions will tell you that the journey to getting to that championship podium, that's why they always usually break down. There's a lot of emotion there, and it just kind of comes out on stage, and you're like, oh my God, you just don't understand what happened in the back end to get me to the front end. It looks so easy, when I'm hitting those 3-pointers, or I'm hitting the pocket putter, or I'm hitting these home runs. But you didn't see all that hard work that went into it. Executing takes hard work. Am I right?
Yeah, and commitment. It takes that commitment. I saw the beginning of the series between San Antonio and New York.
Yeah.
San Antonio had all the talent in the world, and they're young, and they're going to be around for a long, long time. And then you saw what New York had accomplished up to that point to get to the finals, right? After seeing game one and New York won it, I said to myself, San Antonio is happy to be here in the finals,
Yeah.
and they're just euphoric that they got that far. And my God, and we beat the defending champions to get here. New York was on a mission. They had less talent, but they had grit. I knew when I watched game 5 the other night,
Yeah.
and I saw San Antonio ahead, and by 10 or 12 points in the fourth quarter, go, New York's going to win. New York's has done it before. They're going to do it again.
Easily.
And the doubt was in the minds of San Antonio. So that's a perfect example you brought up right there. It isn't all about talent. It's determination, grit, and
But
teamwork.
you got to persevere as you go through your challenge. And part of my book that I wrote, I call it 5 Mountains. But the only way you're going to get to the top of that mountain, you're going to get through the resilience. You're going to go through the ups and downs. You're going to slip. You're going to fall. You're going to scrape. But if you don't have a pure desire, a commitment to that you stated, like, no. And in New York's case, it's been 53 years. The entire city is wanting us to win. I want to win. I was disappointed last year. I know we can do this. And you just start, it doesn't care. I don't care what the score is. You saw that one by, I think it was OG. He just hit that bucket at the very end. That was will. But you have to have that type of will. So going back to your earlier point about the people on your team, your employees, what is their true grit about? Are they really trying to get to this next level, or is this just a job for them? Are they
They're
just
just
trying
trying
to
to
get
get
the
by.
paycheck, go home? Man, maybe for some people, that's what it is. But what is their true passion? Because that frontline people, your CEO on down, they've got to have it. They've got to get there and be willing to take the challenges, the risks that go along with this. Executing is difficult because, to your point, you got to also take a litmus test on that. and step back and say, am I doing this correctly? What am I learning from what I'm doing in this activity now? And am I achieving these goals? I've set these goals out, but I'm not getting there. Do I need to make adjustments? Can I get to the next level? You've got these 13 points that you help people that are in this fight, right? You've got these keys, you got the desire, the clarity, the counting the cost. And we know there's a lot of cost. You're acting on a commitments and you're walking us through all these things. You call it predictive scorekeeping. What's that all about?
Well, I'm glad because I was going to go there. Imagine going to watch the Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs in the arena, and you sit there and it's got 19, 20,000 people sitting watching the game. And you'd seen all these great athletes and my God, they're making all these shots and everything like that. This is fantastic. But there's one little issue going on. The scoreboard is not working. Great. Unless I'm really, really anal, where I'm jotting down, he just hit a 2-pointer, a 3-pointer, and you're not going to do that. You're there, obviously, to watch a great game and have fun and see these great athletes, but you're there pulling for one of the two teams typically, and you want your team to win. How do you track that? You got to keep score. So I talk a lot about, and we've heard this in when you hear about the economy and the results and how things are coming along. There's lead indicators, there's lag indicators. Your lag indicators is basically what happened, the result, taking a look back. This is a result after 1 quarter, 1 year, 1 month, 1 week, whatever it is. The most important indicator is your lead indicator. And your lead indicators are tied into your execution of the revenue producing activities. And when you are ruthlessly honest and you are tracking that with yourself, okay? And I keep a scoreboard of what I do weekly. I have certain objectives during the week and I score myself. Okay? And if I fall short, I can't look around. It's me. I didn't fulfill what I promised myself to do here. And it's keeping me honest, ruthlessly honest. And if you can get into that practice, that habit of tracking your lead indicators, the things that you know you have to do, then the results will take care of themselves.
Yeah.
But you don't have to worry about keeping, looking back at, oh boy, that was a good time we had back then. I wish we could have that time again. Well, why don't you get to work, execute, and produce a better result? Something even better than what you did before, So, when you go through this process of this methodology, it starts with ruthless honesty, and it looks at, okay, what's going on here? There's an issue, there's a problem. It's not a brand new sparkling strategy that we have to put in here. And by the way, this is very important. And this is something that drives me because I'll talk to people and say, well, we're working with someone already that does what you do. I go, okay. And I start to ask them some questions.
Yeah.
And then I see sometimes that they get uncomfortable when I ask them these questions because it makes them think. Most of the training programs that I have come across, and I've been in the world for a long time, and I've been trained at Fortune 500 levels in so many different ways. First of all, I tell people, I don't have a training program. This is an operating system that I install in your organization here. Most training programs are typically focusing on the symptoms, and they're not tackling the root cause of the issue here. What I tell everybody is, don't change your strategy, but do yourself a better favor. Light the match and ignite it. And that's what all of this is all about here, is igniting that strategy by being humble, honest, open-minded, action-oriented, and keeping track of what you're doing. That's what's going to lead to your success.
I like it. See, so I was getting at it because you have these 5 pillars, right? You're talking about you got that vision, you have plan, the process control, the scorekeeping, the time use, pulling it all together. Because when you're in the game, you're just doing it, right?
And
You
you're gonna have to make some game time adjustments, like we've seen when
yeah,
you watch,
right,
right? So
right.
you need to go back to your process, the
Mm,
things that got you there in the first place,
yeah. And are
especially
you
when you're thrown
playing at a
off your.
championship level or not? That's the thing
Mhm.
I was noticing, especially I'm using the NBA championship as a analogy, but I kept seeing like, well, who is playing at a championship level? They're not making the mistakes. They're hitting their free throws. They're not fouling out. They're not, who's doing that the best? Ultimately, especially, and I'm talking about 4 quarters of work because no one wins a game in 3 quarters. The body of work speaks for the body of work. I saw a better team over and over again out execute the other team at the moment of truth, at the end of the game. No one comes back from 30 points down. But I watched this other team kind of relax, start making the mistakes, stop doing the things that got them there. To your point, they put out the fire, and the other team just caught fire and just really started to show what they were capable of. And they were not going to take a loss. They just willed themselves into victory over and over again. I think good companies and good people do that. They find a way to win. Most people they say, oh, he was going to win. Like, no, he willed himself. They willed themselves to this level. It wasn't just a gimme.
You don't win because of your strategy. You win because you execute your strategy.
There you go. Right, right. And
Something we talked about earlier that I wanted to bring when we talk about revenue producing activities, because I'm
yeah,
also part of my market is the uh, working with municipalities. So they're not in a quote unquote, they're not trying to sell something per se,
mhm,
but at the end of the day, whether you're in a for-profit environment, nonprofit, public sector, we are all here to serve.
yeah.
We're serving the marketplace, we're serving our clients, and we're also serving our employers. And in the case of municipality, they are serving what's best for their constituents. So again, it goes back for them, it's the results producing activities, and in the business world is revenue producing, but we're all serving. It's all about serving and doing in a way that we can deliver consistently.
And do it over and over. You're teaching us a master class right now. You're giving us, that precursor, a little viewpoint, open up the hood, look at the engine from that execution gap all the way through the 13th week wrap that you've got. So tell us what's coming up, what you're going to be doing so the audience wants to go deeper into your work, the magic of 13 weeks. Should they be following you? How do they get in touch? What happens?
Well, in many, many ways. You can start by visiting my website to get a more in-depth information on what you and I have been talking about today, which is peterdelatorre.com. Not Pete, but Peter with the R. So you can go there. I am on LinkedIn. Primarily a LinkedIn guy. Like I said, I got very, very focused, and I try to be on all different platforms. Like LinkedIn's the one that I think is best for the business world, and that's what I'm trying to do here. Is so I'm on LinkedIn. Um, Look for Peter Delatorre. You can get me there. Um, Now, one of the things that I'm doing right now to bring down the mystery of this whole methodology and allowing people to get a taste. I am offering when I talk to different people, organizations, a way to get their feet wet without making a total commitment. And it's called this complimentary 60-minute diagnostic to uncover that company blind spot.
Okay. Okay.
And it's kind of a shortened version of all of this, just highlighting the key points, but it gives you an overview, gives you a taste of what this program is about. And the entire program is in 3 stages. The first one is the installation. I spend a half day with your team, with your group, ideally 15 to 20 people at a time. We go through the entire program. There's a workbook. There's an assignment that everyone has after that. Then for the next 12 weeks, um, I am constantly doing an outreach to everybody that participated with an email that will highlight one of the areas that we discussed during that half-day installation. So that's one time. And I become available for any sort of coaching calls during the week in case anybody's stuck. So that goes from the half day, then the following 12 weeks. And then the 13th week is what I call the wrap session, where I come back for about an hour or so and we celebrate the wins that everybody had, the progress that they made. We review again some of the challenges that they went through. But most importantly, is to get them recalibrated for the next 13-week sprint.
Nice.
And to reward themselves. But typically, what do we do after the old 12-month year, blah, blah, blah? We take vacations, we reward ourselves. One of the musts here is that every 13 weeks, you reward yourself with something, a short trip, a nice dinner, a night in the town, whatever that is. So you can avoid that burnout, because what this does, there's a lot of velocity in all of this. And by the way, at the end of the day, this program is not for everybody.
No, you got to know what's good for you, what's not good for you. I want to appreciate again for being on the show, why these things are fully important. You've got to be able to execute in the environment that we are in, and take a real good look at your windshield and what's in the mirror, your rear view mirror. All these things are very, very important, so we understand the magic of these 13 weeks can be like, so we can exit. Right now, we're in the middle of the year. We've only got another, 5 to 6 months left. Why not take Peter up on his offer and take this to another level? So I want to thank you again for being on the show. I want to encourage the entire audience out there in your world as well to check out all the episodes of Follow the Brand at 5-Star BDM. That is the number 5. That is star, STAR, B for brand, D for development, infomasters.com. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you, buddy.
You got it, man. Take care. All right.
Man, who's your favorite podcaster? Man, Grant, man. I love Grant's podcast. Well, who's Grant? I'm going to send you the link. I love Grant.
I love the interview. I've done a lot of these, and this is a great one. It's always great to talk to people who know what they're doing, and it's clear you're a great host, and you've done this many times before.
I feel great that we're having this conversation here. Met a new person in business who I previously didn't know.
It was an amazing podcast. Grant is an amazing interviewer. I learned a lot.
Really enjoyed this. Great questions, great talk track. Super appreciate you having me on. It's been a very fun episode to talk about a lot of things that I don't always get to dive into. So this has been a fantastic conversation.
I wouldn't be where I am here today, of course, not on this stage. However, not in my current business projection and my current business model without working with you.
The difference between influence and legacy, it's the platform that carries your voice. You're not visible because you lack talent. You're visible because your brand doesn't speak. I've built 5-Star BDM to change that. Most leaders have the expertise, but not the presence, the vision, but not the vehicle. Across 3 cities, one brand is helping leaders rise above the noise. Here in the heart of Omaha, strategy isn't left to chance. It's engineered with precision. In Omaha, we engineered your Zachner brand, AI-powered, data-driven, precise. TISA went from a local nonprofit to a national speaker in 90 days. We don't guess your brand strategy, we build it. On the shores of St. Croix, your brand takes on depth and meaning, shaped through curated retreats and legacy experiences. In St. Croix, strategy becomes soul. Our retreats don't just refine your message, they rediscover your mission. One founder rewrote his entire company story here. Funding followed 30 days later. This is where leaders remember who they were meant to be. In vibrant Miami, momentum meets amplification, transforming your voice into a movement. In Miami, your brand becomes a movement. Business development accelerators, audience building. Joy came with an old website and an outdated company name, but she left with 5,000 followers and a waiting list. This is where you scale with soul. 3 cities, 1 mission, your legacy ignited. It started with a thread. Let's pull it together. Stop blending and start leading. 5-Star BDM, where legacy is engineered, embodied, and ignited. Visit 5starbdm.com and book your brand audit today.
I want to thank you again for being on this show. I want to thank you for working with me. I only have one last question because I'm like that. And that is, you work with me. You understand my process and how I work through the Brave Blueprint strategy. How did you feel about that?
I feel it was great, man. Let me tell you my Grant story when I knew I had to work with Grant. Okay? We were, of course, you mentioned that we worked at Zones together. And every year, you're one of the leading sales guys. Okay? Always happy, always smiling. Like, what's he so happy about? So, yeah, okay, well, he's winning all the time. Well, okay, maybe he's happy about that. So I decide, and me, I'm a talent evaluator. So I like to be around talent. So, and I was a solutions architect, which is a fancy word for pre-sales engineer. Okay. Yeah. So I had to learn how to sell. So I targeted you as someone I wanted to learn from. So I went to Florida. I think you had some kind of healthcare executive showcase conference thing, right? I'm like, all right, let me see what this dude's doing. So I go there, and I'm down there to learn how to sell. Okay, down to learn how to sell, and I watch everybody in the room gravitate around you, want to work with you. Hey, Grant, what kind of stuff you do, and how can and just everybody just want to work with you, and you didn't sell nothing. You didn't sell anything. You position yourself a certain way. You connected with people. I think you interviewed a couple of executives and helped raise them up, if you will. But you didn't sell in the traditional sense. But you position yourself to where the sales came to you without you having to be that pushy sales guy. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? As a Star Wars fan, I learned that Jedi mind trick. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, here we are, right?
I love that. You do not want software engineering. Yes, you do want software engineering. Now, I only got one more question to ask you. Probably my most important question today is, now this is your first interview on the Follow Brand podcast with me. How did you feel?
Oh, it feels great. Like I'm with you, Grant. First of all, Grant, you yourself, let me give you your flowers. You've been such a tremendous leader in our community, whether it's in the field of healthcare, leadership, IT. You are a tremendous leader.
Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a superconnector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius. Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.